I want to focus on, in this episode today, one major change that is based on an observation that I actually think is changing everything. And you should adopt this as well, because if you don't, there's a very real chance you're going to get left in the dust as everyone else pivots to this, or at least the smart ones. By the time they adopt it and everyone else does, it's now mass adoption, meaning everyone is doing it. And of course, that means that the results and the benefit of being one of those people starts to decline. And what I've noticed is that some of these things that then go on a decline, at that point, people are going out there looking for the next big thing. What's the next funnel strategy? What's the next conversion vehicle? What's the next presentation style? It can also have this mass exodus, which by default have an opportunity again. Because everyone deserted it, it actually becomes new and exciting once again. And that is exactly what I'm experiencing right now. And so I decided to test this more and more in my business and with my audience. And to my surprise, the uptake was astonishing. We've seen the highest conversions to becoming a client that we have seen in a very long time. And I've noticed a strategy that has gone on this bit of a journey, and it almost feels like it's reviving itself. And that is, hey, it's John Pempathy here. Welcome back to the Expansion Podcast. Great to have you here. Now, the last episode I shared that I want to be open, I want to be honest, I want to be vulnerable. And if you haven't listened to the previous episode, I'd encourage you to do that, perhaps even before listening to this one. This will still be of value if you haven't, but I basically shared the story of the last 12 months, the journey that I've been on, and the things that we've had to do, and the big decisions and changes we've had to make in the business. And by listening to the previous episode, it'll help give more context to the stuff we're going to discuss today. But if you are ready to dive into this one, then this is going to be short, snappy, bite-sized, just as the previous. And I want to share with you some of the observations that I have made and are making in my business, in our industry, in marketing and sales in general right now, and how we are responding to them. Because the reality is I've completely whitewashed my business recently. I've changed everything from the way we go out there and drive traffic to how we're acquiring leads into the business, how we are warming up those leads and turning them into prospects, people that are interested in potentially working with us and becoming a client. And then I've changed our client acquisition process and the way that we are closing people into the business, and all of the back-end systems and everything has completely changed as well. And so I want to focus on, in this episode today, one major change that is based on an observation that I actually think is changing everything. And you should adopt this as well, because if you don't, there's a very real chance you're going to get left in the dust as everyone else pivots to this, or at least the smart ones. So let me first explain this. The industry, if you haven't noticed, and different marketing strategies within that industry goes in waves. And essentially what tends to happen is a new strategy is discovered. Someone finds it, someone invents it, someone creates it, but there's a new strategy, a new way of driving traffic or converting that traffic into sales, and whatever the case may be. And when a new strategy is discovered, because it's new, because it's unique, it stands out. And because it stands out, it actually starts to work and works very well. And then we have the early adopters. And so people start to cotton on to the fact that there's this new strategy and not many people are using it. This evidence seems to point to the fact that it's working and working quite well. And so you have the action takers, the opportunists. They decide to jump on it, and they are the early adopters. And the early adopters ride that wave of success. And maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 years, maybe it's 5 years, but they're enjoying the benefits of being an early adopter. And then you get to this point where there's mass adoption. And mass adoption is where all of the people that perhaps even saw the opportunity but weren't willing to, in some way pioneer it, they wanted more proof of concept. Well, they paid the price for that, because by the time they adopt it and everyone else does, it's now mass adoption, meaning everyone is doing it. And of course, that means that the results and the benefit of being one of those people starts to decline. All the while, someone else is discovering a new strategy or a new process that now is the thing that everyone starts to shift from with the previous. And then it kind of goes in this wave like that. And there's something that has really caught my attention lately, and I've noticed a strategy that has gone on this bit of a journey, and it almost feels like it's reviving itself. And that is live stuff in the business, meaning live events, live webinars, live virtual events, live trainings, going live on YouTube, going live on Facebook. There was this moment where doing a webinar presentation, for example, and going live on GoToWebinar or Zoom, as it would be more commonly done now. That was a new strategy. It was exciting. For the prospects to be invited to a live webinar felt really cool. Felt like a privilege, felt great. You're going to get to be on a call live with the role model that you've been looking up to. And so attendance rates were sky high, conversion rates on those webinars were epic. And of course you had the early adopters. And so then people started to do webinars and they saw the benefit of that. And of course we had mass adoption. Now everyone's doing webinars. And then of course that started the decline of that strategy, right? And we actually got to a point, and this was a few years ago, where live webinars and by association, other live related stuff just wasn't working as well as it used to. People didn't want to show up to live stuff. That felt like too much of a commitment to block out this coming Thursday at 4 p.m. for a presentation that you're not even really sure that is going to hold the value for you. And so registration rates were down, attendance rates were down, and it went on this decline. And what I've noticed is that some of these things that then go on a decline, at that point, people are going out there looking for the next big thing. What's the next funnel strategy? What's the next conversion vehicle? What's the next presentation style? And what can actually happen is, just as webinars and live things had this mass adoption, it can also have this mass exodus, which by default makes live have an opportunity again. Because everyone deserted it, it actually becomes new and exciting once again if people start to use it. And that is exactly what I'm experiencing right now. I'm feeling that in the marketplace right now, people are tired of the automated stuff. They don't believe if something's actually true or not. With the rise of AI, there's more competition. You never really know what's real anymore. And it almost feels, for us to have a really high converting client acquisition system, we have a much longer path to convert someone from what I call cold to sold, right? For them to go from never having heard of you before to wanting to become a client. There's a much longer path, and that path has to be filled with value upon value upon value. And I find the best way to deliver that is in a live environment. And so I decided to test this more and more in my business and with my audience lately. I decided, rather than trying to acquire clients through my automated systems, let's go back in time. Let's start doing some live stuff. And I started to invite my audience to hang out with me on Zoom for different webinar presentations and virtual events. And to my surprise, the uptake was astonishing. There seemed to be a real appetite for wanting to register for an event like this. But of course, the proof would be in the pudding of attendance rate. Would people actually show up? Well, it turns out they will, and they do. We were seeing 40, sometimes 50% attendance rates, which is something that we used to see back in 2018, 2019, but we went into this mass adoption curve and then into a decline. But of course, now what I'm putting to you is that perhaps we're on the climb again of this being an exciting proposition, and there's real, true appetite for this once again. And what I also found that was like the cherry on top was that people would be booking calls with my sales team and signing up for my coaching at a much higher rate than they had done before. And it was because it was off the back of a live interaction, right? Rather than it being an automated funnel where they don't know quite if it's real or true or live or not. Maybe the presentation is dated in some way because it's automated. And of course, there's just this lack of trust. Whereas now they're on a live presentation with me, I'm able to talk about things in real time, and I'm able to make an invitation to book a call with my sales team in real time. I can add special bonuses perhaps if they take action in a certain time period. And we've seen the highest conversions to becoming a client that we have seen in a very long time. And so I'm going to talk about this a bit more in the next episode of the Expansion Podcast. But to give you a bit of a heads up, where my focus is going to be now, this is the plan for my business, is I am still going to have an automated and scalable front-end traffic system. So I'm not going to be going live on the front end because that's just not going to be optimal. But what I am going to do is have my front-end funnels going out there, finding more high-quality leads, bringing them through scalable funnels that don't have live interaction. But once they're on my email list, once they're in my audience, once they're in my warm community, then every month I'll be able to do live promotions to my warm audience. That is where the magic lies. So for us, we're going to be spending $100,000 a month, and all we're focused on is new lead acquisition, but high quality leads with something that can break even on that ad spend. I'm not looking to make money. Just want to break even on that acquisition, because then every month I'm able to invite everyone in my audience, all of those new leads, to a live presentation where I can build that trust, provide that value, and make an offer to become a client. And that model is working really well for us, and it's more exciting, more profitable, more efficient than anything that we've done before. So hopefully that gives you some food for thought. I would highly suggest that you now take a bit of time, make some notes on your own business. Where might you want to incorporate this into what you're doing? And then my recommendation is go and check out the next episode immediately after this one, because we're going to follow directly on from this. And I want to share with you exactly how we're using that acquisition process and the live back-end promotion to actually start enrolling clients in a really efficient way. So we'll get to that in the next episode.